Today we're going to tackle two chapters, chapters 12 and 13. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, let's talk about the character histories that I need you to turn in. I have 6 right now. I think I have 6. I hope I have 6. Anyway, here are the character history forms that you need to fill out. Don't forget to create a fictional name. Don't pick your own. Oh, where is it? There it is. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's a document, docx, so you can just fill it out. Put all your problems in there. There we go. I stole it off the internet from iBoga. It's the University of Wisconsin Health Service, I think, or something like that. Anyway, and once you give it to me, or you put it in the Dropbox, the Dropbox is right here for the character histories, I will open it up and then I will put it on the discussion page. So if we look at the discussion page, get rid of that. We go down to the bottom of the discussion page. There we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, why do I have 6? Okay, I'll have to count it later. I have 6. Anyway, okay, so that's how you do it, and we need to get those in as soon as you can because 1st of April, you guys are going to start counseling each other, making appointments to counsel one another. And of course, you will not be counseling each other, you'll be counseling each other's character. So let's go ahead and get started with today's lecture. We're going to start off with chapter 12. Identifying key problems or challenges. Understanding the client's problems, and there's a reason why I can't just go, this is a formula, this is how you do it. It just doesn't work that way because every client you will see will be different. They will need different things. You'll have to talk to them, potentially you have to talk to them differently. You will talk to individuals with a drug problem, recognizing the fact that when people are addicted to something, that they're mostly in denial and they're very difficult to deal with. You can't get them to agree to do anything, or you can get them to agree to do anything, and then they don't do it. That's because they don't think they have a problem. Until they can admit they have a problem, of course, it's going to take a lot of talking to and convincing them that they can't keep going the way that they're going. So it is complicated, understanding your clients. And each client will be different. They will have gone through something else, something different in their home life. Maybe it was different from the way that you handled things or the way that your family handled things. It's going to be really complicated. The process of coming to an agreement on problems and goals involves a thoughtful and complete assessment that you're going to have to do. Using each client's mindset, each client's way of looking at the world differently. You're going to have to be a mind reader in essence, and that's one of the reasons why counselors are sometimes treated and treated the way that they are, because they almost can read your mind. It is important to work on what the client is ready to solve, not what the practitioner might think is important. And this is tough because you may see this is the problem, but they don't want to work on that. They don't think it's as much of a problem yet. They're still in denial about it, so they want to work on something else. You have to work on what they're willing to work on. If you try to work on something that they're not willing to work on, you'll lose them. It's that plain and simple. What is the extent of your problem? So we're exploring the problem. What is the extent of your problem? How is the problem affecting your life? How long has this problem been in existence? How frequently does this problem happen, and how bad does it get? What is the cause of your problem? Are you living in an environment that will allow the problem to return? This is a huge one because if they have a lifestyle that supports the bad behavior or the behavior they're trying to change, then you're going to have to change their lifestyle as well in order to get them away from what is triggering their problem. Is the problem worse because you haven't dealt with it and shaved your head? Is this a superficial problem or one that goes deeper, requiring extensive therapy? And that's something you'll have to ask yourself. Is this too complex for me to deal with? Will I have to send this person to a treatment facility that can deal with this problem because I can't do it on an outpatient basis? How urgent is it that the problem be solved? Is it possible that this problem is a symptom of a more serious problem? There you go. You're trying to get into the problem, the other problem that you see. Is it possible that we're dealing with a symptom rather than the problem? And this happens all the time in psychology, dealing with the symptoms rather than the actual problem. Considerations of any problem include financial remuneration, client time constraints, practitioner time constraints. You have so many clients, and you can only handle so many appointments. The client is the same way. They have to work in order to make money so that they can pay you. And of course, do they have the money to pay you? You can't do everything for free, even though you might want to. The practitioner might have to act without fully exploring all problems due to crisis status. And of course, this happens all the time. If you're working in an emergency room situation, then you're going to have to work with the crisis. The crisis, you're going to have to take care of the problem as quickly as you possibly can. The immediate crisis situation will have to be dealt with first before you can address other problems. The practitioner may have to be more directive. Crisis situations dealing with interpersonal violence would include murder. This is not really a murdered person. It's just a painted. This is a artwork. Crisis situations dealing with interpersonal violence would include rape. Violence would include terrorist bombings. Would include major natural disasters, including floods. And there are floods right now somewhere. California is being blasted by a blizzard, and the Texas Panhandle is on fire. 2 million acres have burned so far. Crisis situations dealing with major natural disasters would include tornadoes. And of course, this is a picture of a tornado in Oklahoma, right near where we used to live, actually. We lived in Choctaw. And this is in Moore, I think. Natural disasters would include fires. Natural disasters would include hurricanes, something you don't really have to worry about in Arizona or New Mexico. But if you lived in Florida and you lived along the Gulf Coast, you'd have to worry about hurricanes. And if you lived in Texas along the Gulf, you'd have to worry about hurricanes. Crisis situations dealing with personal loss would include unexpected death of a family member, sudden abandonment of a significant other. It is important to stay calm and remember that safety is the first priority. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. First thing you need to do is make sure that they're safe. Use skills of listening, asking questions for clarification, express empathy and warmth. Seek supervision as soon as possible. You need to get as many people working toward helping this person as possible. And that's why you're seeking supervision. If you need to get some kind of funding approved, then you will need to get your supervisor involved. Usually you can't just slip them a couple $100,000 and and not worry about it. Clients do not see any need to make a change. This is pre-contemplation stage. We talked about this before. The clients do not see any need to make a change. They do not see their behaviors or feelings as problems. They blame others for their problems. They blame others for their problems. This is a trigger that you will see over and over and over again. It's always somebody else's problem. And the reality is, yeah, this person may be your trigger, but it's the way you react to that person that is the real problem. If you didn't react this way, there would be no problem. Okay, so blaming others is always a trigger, and you should always listen to who they're blaming, because that is usually an indication of what needs to be dealt with. Moving from something clients cannot change to something they can improves efficacy. That's what I just said. Empathy about problems that are out of the client's control is necessary. And usually it's somebody else's behavior is out of your client's control. If the client states that her boss is unfair to her, the practitioner might see her part of the problem as her inability to figure out what she can do to be treated more fairly. The practitioner isn't denying that the client has a problem, merely pointing out the portion of the problem that the client can control. The only thing that the client can control is their reaction. They can't control the boss. If the client states that the problem is the city's failure to adequately maintain their neighborhood, the practitioner might help the client to see that they're part of the problem as their lack of information about how to effectively lobby for services. If a mother is upset because her son is doing poorly in school and wants to make him bring up his grades, the practitioner will accept this as a valid concern and work with the mother to figure out what she wants to change about herself. The mother may be focusing too much on what the child is not doing or may not have encouraged him. She may not have discussed the problem with his teachers. Also, in the pre-contemplation stage, if the client is a young single mother of 3 children who states that she doesn't have enough money for food and housing, even though she works full-time, the practitioner can work with her on her desire for more income so that she can better provide for her family and can tell her about whatever additional resources might be available to help her provide for her family. Motivational interviewing can be very helpful. Motivational interviewing is client-centered counseling that helps clients increase motivation by assisting them in exploring and resolving ambivalence about making changes. And if they don't make changes, nothing's going to change, of course, obviously, from how it works. Rolling with resistance, clients have valid insights and ideas about their situation. Arguments for change are avoided by clients. The practitioner indicates a willingness to work on the problem identified by the client. Resistance often arises when the client is required to see the practitioner. A motivational interviewing strategy that involves pointing out an incongruity between the client's present behavior and something they value or want. This may increase clients' motivation to change. The goal is to move the client to contemplating that there is a problem and that they can work on it. And that is always what you're aiming for. Get them out of the pre-contemplation stage. There is a readiness to believe that there is a problem. Now we're in the contemplation stage. The client can acknowledge the advantages of changing, but is also aware of the costs. Express empathy as much as you can. Important at all stages of change is expressing your empathy. This provides acceptance. It shows them that you accept their thoughts. Contemplation stage, I know that you know that your drinking is a problem, but right now stopping seems impossible. I understand that you think it would improve your health if you gave up smoking, but that giving up smoking feels almost impossible, especially when you're smoking a pack at a time. Advanced reflecting, client's perspective is essential. identifying values, meanings, feelings, and expectations. It shows the client that they're the ones that are in control. Expressions need to be stated tentatively. The purpose is to invite the client to have insight, self-awareness, and or a deeper understanding of his or her situation. It seems like you feel angry because you value communication and he doesn't. You have moved from focusing on the client's husband to identifying what the client values. Because you can't change somebody that's not there. It sounds like you feel angry because you expected clear directions from your boss. Without clear directions, you feel afraid of making mistakes. You've moved from focusing on the boss to focusing on the client's need for clarification. You can't change the boss. The only thing that you can change is the client. It seems like you value open communication and haven't found a way to invite other members of this group to share openly. Moving from focusing on what the client thinks is wrong with the other group members to focusing on what the client values. I hear that you are frustrated and think this group isn't accomplishing enough. It seems like you really want this task group to do well. Moving from focusing on what the client is frustrated about and what the client wants. It seems that several folks in this agency are feeling impatient because the needs of the growing Hispanic population are not being adequately addressed by the agency. It sounds like addressing the needs of the Hispanic population is something many of you value and think is important. Moving from focusing on what is wrong with the services at the agency to what the people in the agency value. I'm wondering if you feel like you aren't getting much recognition at work. Being valued for your contribution seems to be important to your job satisfaction, moving from what the people at work are giving the client to what the client wants. I have the feeling that the group really wants to deal with this issue, but you are afraid of hurting one another's feelings, moving from what the group members are afraid of to what they want. It seems like you folks in the neighborhood really want to get this problem solved, but are feeling pretty discouraged right now because the process seems difficult, moving from how hard the process is to what the people want. Themes may be related to interacting, behaving, thinking, and or feeling. Seeing patterns can help clients to make changes. A theme is an idea or point of view shared by several people. A pattern refers to consistent ways of thinking, feeling, or behaving. Identifying patterns and themes, a pattern might be related to how a client tries to escape, run away, or use some self-defeating behavior, and that's what we need to identify. You need to identify self-defeating behavior. We all do it. We call them defense mechanisms. And you need to figure out what it is. The practitioner can ask about possible connections between problems and thoughts, feelings, ways of coping in other situations. It is particularly powerful to relate themes and patterns to clients' experience of what is happening in his or her relationship with the practitioner. Clients can begin to identify their roles and problems and begin to set goals. It is important to state and restate goals until both client and practitioner are clear about them. Partializing involves breaking a complex problem into manageable parts. Practitioner and client can decide which part of the problem should be dealt with first. This may be the easiest, the most painful, or one that can lead to the solvability of other aspects of the larger problem. It is important to remember that the client's perception of what is manageable may be smaller than or different than the practitioner might see as possible. We're still on partializing. Preparation stage, supporting self-efficacy, encouragement given to clients that they can solve their own problems, and actually, unless they solve the problems themselves, it probably isn't going to get solved. Giving people advice is probably the worst thing that you could do. You might suggest things, but unless they accept those things, nothing is going to be solved. No problem is going to be solved. The goal is to enhance clients' confidence and capability to cope. Statements that recognize what the clients have already accomplished and identifies their strengths can support their belief in themselves. Problem identification, concerns aiding the clients identifying problems clearly. In larger systems and families, different members may understand problems differently. Clients often think of problems as something to stop. They need to change to what they want to start doing instead of stopping the problem. Ethical considerations and problem identification. Practitioners need to support essential ethical principles related to autonomy and self-determination. Remember, if the client doesn't do it themselves, it's never going to get done. You can't do it for them. Client decisions are influenced by culture, gender, age, and other factors. The practitioner's role is to support choices of clients, even if they feel they should make other choices. And that is the end of chapter 12. Let's go on to 13. Establishing goals. This gets a little hinky at the end, but just bear with me, okay? Here's where your name goes. Identifying general goals. Goals set the direction of work to be done. Clear goals are necessary in planning steps to be taken. They are what clients hope to achieve working with the practitioner. They are the client's vision of what life would be like if their problems were solved. Goals must be mutually established between practitioners and clients. Practitioners should not try to guide clients. The clients need to guide themselves. If they guide themselves and they solve their problem, it will stay solved. If you guide them and they solve their problem, it may return because they didn't solve their problem, you did. Satisfactory work depends on practitioners' ability to collaborate with the client. Questions that seek clarification help clients figure out what the goals they are motivated to achieve. Exception finding questions are useful. Explore times when the problem was not present. Times when the problem was smaller or less problematic. Open-ended questions at the end of our work together. What do you want your life to be like? When the problems that brought you here are solved, what do you want to be thinking, doing, or feeling? When we have finished our work together, what might other people see you doing that you aren't doing now? Tell me about the picture of what you want your family to look like, to be like. Popcorn eaters. You want your family to be popcorn eaters. Let's pretend that these problems are solved. What differences will you notice in your life? Okay, we're going to talk about a way to set goals, and this is known as measurable, attainable, positive, and specific MAPS goals. I'm not a big formula guy, so this is from your textbook. MAPS goals make it possible for clients and practitioners to evaluate changes that have been made. It provides a clear direction and focus for work. Okay. Moving from general goals to MAPS goals, will you give me an example of what positive communication sounds like to you? When you have positive communication, what will you be doing that you aren't doing now? In what situations do you want to have more positive communication? I want to get better grades, so I will write down each assignment I get this week. I want to lose weight, so I will go to the gym 3 times this week. I want to become sober, so I will attend 1 AA meeting this week. I want more friends, so I will sit next to 2 different people in each of my classes. A goal needs to be something that the client believes is possible based on available resources such as time, money, and people power. Establishing a series of small goals helps clients experience success. It is important that the size of the goal seems attainable to a client and reasonable to the practitioner. Unattainable goals involve changing another person. Time to reach the goal must be relatively proximate to the decision to change. Clients who participate in setting goals are more likely to believe goals are achievable. Goals should be visualized in concrete, specific behavioral terms. Your goal is to lose 15 pounds. Would it be reasonable to lose 1.5 pounds this week? And if you're losing more than 1.5 pounds a week, all you're doing is losing water. You need to lose slowly. Your goal is to turn your homework in on time. Would it be reasonable to set aside an hour an evening to do homework for this class? Your goal is to attend AA meetings. Would it be reasonable to acquire a list of local meetings this week? Wait a minute, that's interesting. Okay. I hear that you want to weigh what you weighed when you were 30 years old. Let's consider first setting a goal that you can successfully reach in a shorter period of time. What do you think would be a reasonable and not too hard goal to reach in 2 months? I agree that giving up drinking and going to AA meetings every day is a terrific goal. AA is very good at celebrating each milestone in the process to lifetime sobriety. How about if one of our first goals is getting to an AA every day for 2 weeks? Does that sound okay to you? It sounds like your group was disappointed in your grade on the big project and you are determined to start earlier on the next big project. That sounds like a plan that will work. The next project is due 6 weeks from now. What goal would you like to achieve 3 weeks from now related to that project? So the 2 of you often argue about how to discipline the children and think it would be better if you agreed on discipline methods. What sounds like a good goal to achieve? Since you disagree on many aspects of discipline, would it make sense to you to start with a goal of coming to an agreement about what to do when Anne won't spend time on her homework? In this town, you have many people who are homeless, and you want to develop a solution to the problem that will be acceptable to the city council and also to the people who are homeless. I wonder if the first goal might be to create a group of people, including some people who are homeless and some of you who are willing to work on this problem. Positive goals keeps the focus on what the client wants to do rather than what the client doesn't want to do. Practitioners can use open-ended questions to help clients to think in positive terms. I want to lose weight, so today I will eat at least 2 servings of fruit. I want to turn my homework in on time, so today I will review all the work I need to turn in this week. I want to make 2 new friends, so today I will say hi to 5 people. If one night at dinner you weren't fighting, what do you think you might be doing? If one day you felt the urge to drink but didn't drink, what would you do instead? What is your vision of what the neighborhood would be like without drug dealers? When you are concerned about how things are going in the group, how would you like to talk to each other about your concerns or hopes? If this agency was functioning in a way that you believe would be effective, what would people be doing that you aren't doing now? Short-term goal this week, I will go to class and write down my homework assignments. Squidward. Long-term goal this semester, I will raise my grades 1 level. Short-term goal this week, I will speak with 3 new people. Long-term goal this semester, I will make 2 new friends. Moving from general to specific goals, practitioners may decide to approach agreement on problems and goals differently. Some practitioners prefer more general goals. Working on one goal often relates to other goals. Many practitioners find it helpful to establish a written or verbal agreement that describes previous understandings between them and the client. These agreements are developed collaboratively and can be modified as necessary. A good alliance involves a safe, trusting, comfortable, collaborative relationship. It includes an agreement between the practitioner and client about the goals. These set the stage for monitoring work together. There are many valid and reliable scales for measuring the alliance. There are also scales for measuring the outcome of a session or series of sessions with clients. The goal attaining scale is a 5-point scale that ranges from most to least favorable outcomes that client believes are possible. It can be used to identify the level of progress achieved and either during the course of work together or at the end. Using the GAS, Goal Attainment Scale, for each MAPS goal can be helpful. I want to lose 15 pounds this week. I will eat 2 servings of fruit each day. I want to lose 15 pounds. Next week, I will make an appointment to join a gym. I want to lose 15 pounds. The following week, I will attend the gym at 3 exercise classes. I want to lose 15 pounds. The next week, I will continue at the gym and eating fruit and weigh myself to see if I have lost any weight. If not, I will join Weight Watchers, etc. And that is the end of that. So I will talk to you again in 2 weeks. Next week is spring break. So have a good time.